All right.
Yep. All right. Well, we have Acts 25, 13 through 22. I'll open us up in prayer and we'll get going. Jesus, thank you for this morning. Thank you for the lovely morning. Thank you for my brothers. Speak to us today as we study your word. Begin our conversation. Pray this in your name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, God.
All right. I'm thinking probably 2 times through. Oh,
I'll take pass.
okay. Cool. I'll get started. Paul just appealed to Festus, the new guy in charge of Judea. And Festus was weirded out, said, well, I'd like to send you to Jerusalem, or no, he said, I'd like to keep you here. Paul said, I would prefer to go straight to Caesar.
And to Caesar you shall go.
And to Caesar you shall go. Wake up.
I'm picturing like a Monty Python.
Right.
Caesar you shall go. I don't know. It's weird.
Yep.
All right. So a few days later, King Agrippa and Bernice arrived at Caesarea to pay their respects to Festus. Since they were spending many days there, Festus discussed Paul's case with the king. He said, there's a man here whom Felix left as a prisoner. When I went to Jerusalem, the chief priests and elders of the Jews brought charges against him and asked that he be condemned. I told them that this is not the Roman custom to hand over any man before he has faced his accusers and has opportunity to defend himself against their charges. When they came here with me, I did not delay the case, but convened the court the next day and ordered the man to be brought in. When his accusers got up to speak, they did not charge him with any of the crimes I had expected. Instead, they had some points of dispute with him about their own religion and about a dead man named Jesus, whom Paul claimed was alive. I was at such a loss to how to investigate such matters, so I asked if he would be willing to go to Jerusalem and stand trial there on these charges. When Paul made his appeal to be held over for the emperor's decision, I ordered him held until I could send him to Caesar. Then Agrippa said to Festus, I would like to hear this man myself. He replied, tomorrow you will hear him.
Okay. A few days later, King Agrippa and Bernice arrived at Caesarea to pay their respects to Festus. Since they were spending many days there, Festus discussed Paul's case with the king. He said, there is a man here whom Felix left as a prisoner. When I went to Jerusalem, the chief priests and elders of the Jews brought charges against him and asked that he be condemned. I told them that it is not the Roman custom to hand over any man before he has faced his accusers and has had an opportunity to defend himself against their charges. When they came here with me, I did not delay the case, but convened the court the next day and ordered the man to be brought in. When his accusers got up to speak, they did not charge him with any of the crimes I had expected. Instead, they had some points of dispute with him about their own religion and about a dead man named Jesus, who Paul claimed was alive. I was at a loss how to investigate such matters, so I asked if he would be willing to go to Jerusalem and stand trial there on these charges. When Paul made his appeal to be held over for the emperor's decision, I ordered him held until I could send him to Caesar. Then Agrippa said to Festus, I would like to hear this man myself. He replied, Tomorrow you will hear him.
I'm not quite. It's interesting. It's hard to pull anything from this for me. Anything of significance except that, wow, yeah, he makes a lot of good points.
Well, he seems to be a priority.
How so?
They haven't put it off. Felix, when he was there, he listened to Paul. As soon as Agrippa got there, that was the topic of discussion. It wasn't, okay, we'll bring him one of these days in the next couple of months. It was tomorrow morning. He just seems to be a priority. Nobody's ignoring him.
I got that too. It seemed like, I'm inferring a lot, but one, it seemed like Paul was a priority, and it also seemed like Festus was different than Felix. It almost felt like there was an integrity that he had, and I have no idea if he was a man of integrity or not, but just how he's kind of talking about Paul and how he's quickly saying, talking to Agrippa, and he's saying, you're going to, let's talk to him tomorrow. I don't know. It just feels like there's a difference there. I could be wrong, but.
Well, and seems like Agrippa was like, this man sounds intriguing. I want to hear this for myself. I don't know if that was with ill intentions or out of just curiosity. But at the end of that, I had a reference back to Acts 9:15, which says, But the Lord said to Ananias, Go, this man is my chosen instrument to carry my name before the Gentiles and their kings and before the people of Israel. I was like, that's an interesting reference. Because I remember us talking about that, but
Where is that? What's the reference?
Acts 9:15.
Acts 9:15.
And it's basically Paul's conversion when he was with Ananias, and the Lord said to Ananias, Go, this man is my chosen instrument, talking about Paul.
Oh, 9:15.
Yeah, way back, yeah.
The conversion, whoa. But the Lord said to him, Go, because the Lord said to him, to Ananias?
Yeah.
Oh, Ananias was freaked out because he was like, isn't that guy the guy that's killing us all?
Mm-hmm.
And the Lord's like, no, you're going to go anyway, go, because this man's my chosen to carry my name before Gentiles and kings and the people of Israel and kings. And here we are. He's doing it.
Yep.
That's actually awesome and funny at the same time. Because
Hmm.
if I would have heard that, like if I was Paul back in 9:15, and I would have heard, oh, I'm the Lord's chosen instrument to carry his name before Gentiles and kings, I'd be like a little bit puffed up. I'd be like, oh, that's awesome. I'm excited about that, and scared, but I'm excited. But I wouldn't put two and two together to be like, oh, it's because I'm going to be on trial for like death, and I'm going to be appealing to higher and higher authorities. It's like, oh man, yikes. Just another example of God using the systems of men in governmental frameworks. Like he's again in control of it all, and he's just leveraging it to fulfill his purpose. It's pretty cool. So God knew back in 9:15 exactly how this was all going to play out. That's awesome. God is in control. Promise number 1. Oh,
Yep.
man.
So the priority is a holy priority.
Yes.
A holy priority. Say more about that.
Just going back to 9:15, it's preordained. Here's what you're going to do. Here's who you're going to do it with. So that's undoubtedly why these people had Paul on their mind and on their heart, because God stirred it.
I actually kind of resonate with the attitude of Festus, especially in 18, 19, 20. When his accusers got up to speak, they did not charge him with any of the crimes I expected. I expected this to be a nice, easy Roman. Yeah, he was causing a disturbance. Yeah, we can punish him for that. No, they had disputes about their religion, which, as a Roman citizen, I care about. Why is this guy here?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm at a loss. I have no idea. This makes no sense to me. That's kind of like, oh yeah, I could feel for this guy.
Makes sense that he's talking to King Agrippa about it. Like he's like, oh, maybe King Agrippa, the king of the Jews, will know about this because it's his people. He probably understands.
Is Agrippa king of the Jews?
Yes, I'm pretty sure he is.
And in my Bible here, it says that Agrippa of Jewish descent could help clarify Paul's case for the Roman governor. Agrippa and Festus were anxious to cooperate in governing their neighboring territories. Even though Festus knew little about Christianity, he somehow sensed that the resurrection was central to Christian belief.
Huh.
Okay.
So the Agrippa being Jewish, has that connection.
But at the same time, he would have been more of a puppet king, right? Appointed by Rome.
Right.
Because I was at a loss. Verse 20, because I was at a loss how I could investigate these matters, I asked if he were willing to go to Jerusalem and be tried there on these charges. So that part surprised me.
Say that again.
In verse 20, Festus is, I think, talking with King Agrippa. And he says, because I was at a loss how I could investigate these matters, right? So he's confused about the religious differences, right, between Paul and these Jewish leaders. I asked if he were willing to go to Jerusalem and be tried there on these charges. It's interesting that he was like, oh, he should just be tried in Jerusalem, maybe where they understand these things, which is going to be, of course, a conflict of interest, right, for the Jewish leaders, because they're going to try him,
Yeah.
perhaps. Or maybe there's like a proconsul in Jerusalem, perhaps a Roman proconsul that would be trying the case. I'm not sure. Yeah, probably it would have to be a Roman proconsul because right now he's in the hands of Rome as a Roman citizen, so they wouldn't just hand him over to the Jewish leaders to let them try him because they're his accusers. So I guess he would be handing him over to like a mayor of Jerusalem or something, or a county official or whatever, but a Roman official there. But I think it's interesting that he asks Paul if he would be willing to do that, as opposed to just making the decision, because Paul's a prisoner. Like usually if someone's a prisoner, you just be like, oh, I'm sending you there, and you don't really have any authority. But he asks Paul's opinion about it.
Yeah, I wondered about that too.
So there's
And
some
again,
sort of respect.
yeah, well, again, Paul's a Roman too, so they realize that they're not going to sentence him without a trial either,
Yeah, it just
given
speaks.
Roman citizenship. What do you call him? Preference or whatever.
Yeah,
The fact if he was just a Jew, they would probably not even be worried about the trial and just say, "You guys go take care of him."
right. By now, I
Right.
think he'd be dead if it wasn't for God's hand. He would have been crucified
Definitely.
a while ago. Yeah, so it speaks to the status of Roman citizenship again, the importance of that. Oh, and then I'm reminded, Paul was born a Roman citizen, and I don't know the circumstances of that, but his parents, or at least one of his parents, must have been a Roman citizen.
His mother.
It was his mother. Okay.
Yeah, his dad was a Greek.
Okay. And so it's really interesting. Part of God's selection of Paul was probably based on his Roman citizenship. Like he's like picking, he's plucking people from wombs. You know what I mean? Like he knows when Paul's going to be born. He knows who his parents are going to be. He knows that he's going to leverage his birthright as a Roman citizen in this plan to spread the gospel to kings and Gentiles. And the Roman citizenship is kind of an important part. It's an important lever that God's using. It's pretty cool.
And he knows 2,000 years later, we're going to be standing here talking about him.
He does. And he knows also it's going to bless our lives, just hearing the story, and it's going to transform us. That was his plan all along. He's a good God, a smart one. I think that's an understatement, but I just got this cool picture of this like huge three-dimensional framework of it's like a physical structure, but I think it's a representation of all of the cause and effect, the relationships, social interactions, governmental authorities across time, and how God is he's like pulling the levers and twisting and moving the structures to form into this I don't know, maybe it's like a sculpture or a piece of artwork. Interesting.
I like that picture.
It's weird.
The whole universe is God's work of art.
Yeah. Like at the macroscopic scale and also at the like micro nano scale, like even like the quantum threads, you know, like it's all just at his whim. Whew. The Lord is a strong tower. The righteous run into it.
And I know that Paul before King Agrippa is like the climax of all of Acts. It's like the big moment. At least that's what I was taught in school.
Festus seems to be decisive. I think that's the word that I'm getting. Because like the previous reading in 25:12, verse 12, he says, "Then after conferring with this council, Festus replied, 'You have appealed to Caesar. To Caesar you will go.'" Right? There's this like decisiveness. And then the same thing happens at the end of this reading today, verse 22. Agrippa said to Festus, "I would also like to hear the man myself." And he said, "Tomorrow," he replied, "you will hear him." It's like this, kind of this decisiveness. Like, let's not beat
Yeah.
around the bush. Let's not screw around. Let's just make
Let's
this
not
stuff happen.
Let's not sit around for 2 years waiting for Paul to give you
A
money.
bribe.
And
Exactly.
then maybe I'll let you go even.
Uh-huh.
It's like,
Who was in the higher pecking order? Festus or King Agrippa? Would it be Festus because he's the Roman?
Festus would have been, yeah, I think so.
I think so.
With the statement that King Agrippa was, with this idea that King Agrippa was, I guess, part of the Herodian dynasty.
Yeah.
Meaning he's basically King Herod, meaning he's just this put in place to appease the Jews. You are here to act as their king. You really work for us. You really work for the Republic or the Federation or whatever.
So even though he had the title of king, when it says he came to Caesarea to pay his respects, he was a subservient of Festus. Okay.
And this was King Herod Agrippa II, son of Agrippa I and descendant of Herod the Great.
Right.
In Josephus, who is this Jewish historian, so this is an extra biblical reference. He wrote that Festus was more upright and lawful compared to his predecessor Felix.
It does sound that way.
Yeah. So that was an extra biblical reference of Festus. But he wasn't in power very long. He succeeded Felix around 59 AD, and then he died around 62. So only around about 3 years did he hold this office as governor of Judea. So tomorrow, that's cool. Agrippa said, "Festus, I would like to hear the man myself." "Tomorrow," he replied, "you will hear him, as will we."
Yeah. Is this?
Well, guys, I'm going to slide out. I've got a very busy
Okay.
day, so have a good one, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
See you, Dan.
Yeah.
Have an awesome
Hey,
day.
Dan. Have a good
Have
day.
a good one. Yeah, and I think Dylan, you'd mentioned having to scoot at 9 exactly as well.
Yeah, that's 7.
Okay.
Well, we'll
Oh,
see.
7.
There's service manager is supposed to be meeting me, but I don't see him yet. So
All right. Well, let
I'll
me
be
wrap
hanging
up.
out.
Yeah, let me wrap up. I can pray us out, and you'll at least have that verbal blessing on your day.
Week.
Jesus, thank you for this morning. Thank you for our time together and our time with you. Thank you for leading us to this place in your word. God, I pray your blessing on each one of us. Pray you'd give us success in what we do and what we put our hands to. Bless us today. We're looking forward to seeing the rest of this story tomorrow. Jesus, I pray all of this in your name. Amen.
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 Thanks, Daniel.
Yeah.